an honourable way. Band of brothers, the most special club. We will give those who seek to oppose us an honourable way to become part of the legitimacy of Afghanistan. But if they refuse that and become irreconcilable, we will fight them hard and ruthlessly, as 4-5 Commando always does. And we must look after the people who have known nothing other than war and oppression in their lives to date. It is about Afghans before it is about anybody else, ourselves included. We must, and we will, I know deep in my heart, get this right. I wish you good luck, Godspeed, and I will stand at your shoulder throughout.
I'm back in Afghanistan with 4-5 Commando. Since I was last here, there's been a significant change in tactics, due in part to state-of-the-art surveillance systems. This 24-hour eyes-on approach is having a direct effect on the Taliban and increasing security for the people here.
Further west.
The officer in charge of Whiskey Company, Major Paul Maynard, wanted to explain some of the new tactics being adopted in Nad Ali.
The enemy now has a face. The concentration of force means that we're living amongst them, and our focus is on trying to understand them. And I think that's the critical lesson that's been learned and relearned. In order to defeat the insurgent, first of all, you've got to understand them.
In order to understand the insurgency's modus operandi, Whiskey Company has its own investigation team. These men are responsible for analysing surveillance and intelligence reports.
One of the lessons from counterinsurgency campaigns is the importance of intelligence. And in this room, essentially, is the hub within Whiskey Company where it all takes place.
The green, white and red boards that you can see around you. You've got the green, which relates to the AUP. White, which would be the local elders. Any kind of local mullahs, anyone that's an influential player in the area that we want to know about. And then the red, which is traditionally the insurgents. So anyone involved in the insurgent activity, or that we deem to be Taliban, would be up on the red board.
In the military, we call it the intelligence cycle or the targeting cycle, and it allows us to just chip away at the insurgents. Unlike 3 years ago, when ISAF were perhaps leaving a patrol base, they go into an area and poke the fire or kick the hornet's nest over. There's a contact, they win the firefight, and then they go home until the next day.
Yeah, but what you're targeting is not necessarily the people on the ground that are pulling the triggers. What you're targeting are the facilitators, correct?
Absolutely, because we don't want to target the playground weaklings, if you like, because all we're going to do is piss off their family, their brothers, their cousins, their nephews, and create even more insurgents.
To find out how successful these new tactics are, I'm going on a patrol which has been tasked with gathering evidence on a Taliban suspect.
2 days ago, as everyone's aware, we found a number of IED component parts.
This will be my first time outside the wire in over 2.5 years. The main reason for going out on this patrol is to look out for a known layer of IEDs. They know that he's in the vicinity and they know he's been operating in a certain area, so they're going to look for him while they're out on the ground. The main cause of coalition deaths in Afghanistan is the IED, or improvised explosive device. Generally, we hear about the fatalities. It's rarely reported when soldiers suffer life-changing injuries. Every time you read about a soldier that has died on the battlefield, more often than not, there are 3 or 4 others who have been seriously injured.
I can't say the amount of pain that I suffered that day. So huge, and I couldn't compare it with any other thing.
It's hard not to think about an IED strike when you're writing your blood group down. The major fear for the lads is losing their limbs, or even worse, their balls. No one really likes to discuss the biggest killer out there. Our soldiers now have some of the best kit available. The protection it offers has improved significantly. Consequently, each man is carrying over 90 pounds, which in this heat is a backbreaker.
As with the Osprey armour, which is used by the troops here, there are actually plates in the side here. Unfortunately, we know too well that people aren't covered there, they can get killed. Also, notable difference is this time we're not wearing blue. Big reason for that is that we know through intelligence that's been gathered over the last 2 to 3 years that the Taliban now look to focus on cameramen and journalists in the field because they can use this as a sight line in terms of if they can hit the guys in blue, they'll hit either us or something around us. So consequently, it makes us less of a target. We're now wearing a camouflage.
1 for Bravo, 1 for Alpha Bravo.
Leading the patrol is Colour Sergeant Dave Mason.
Right, lads, that's us. Let's get ready to go.
Craft 48, this is which craft 48 Delta. 48 Delta, that's my full sign now, leaving PB Katina.
Leaving the safety of the base focuses the mind. For any one of these men, the next step they make could be their last.
The guys have to be on their guard from the minute or the second they leave the patrol base. Are you still walking along the edges of fields?
Yeah, or through them.
Preferably through them because it's harder to lay IEDs.
Yeah. The aim is obviously not to set patterns, that's key to this.
The man on point is responsible for guiding a safe path using an IED detector.
Hello?
However, the Taliban are constantly adapting their methods, making bombs out of plastic, using wooden pressure plates, or even hiding IEDs in trees or walls.
Again, the problem with roads like this, they even call them black roads generally in the army. A tarmac road is obviously a lot harder to lay an IED on than a road like this, particularly when there's been rain and when the ground's soft. Very easy to dig this road up and put explosives underneath the surface.
Seeing normal life in Afghanistan is reassuring, but I can't help reminding myself how different this is to when I was last here.
I can tell you, it's now, gone 5, been on the ground for just over half an hour, and it is absolutely boiling. It really is hot still.
When you're walking through here, don't stand on any of the reeds that are laid down. Just walk around.
Around them, yeah, understood. We're just approaching the house of suspect IED bomb maker. A place that he allegedly stores the equipment he needs to make these improvised explosive devices.
The plan is to identify the suspect and confirm where he is living.
Salam alaikum. Where's the AUP?
Last time I was here, the patrol would have forced their way in. Now, under new rules set out by Karzai's government, NATO troops can't forcibly enter an Afghan home without substantial evidence. It's hoped that this softer approach will keep the local Afghans on side. Then, unexpectedly, the suspect finds us rather than us finding him.
There may be a possibility of insurgents moving back into this area. Does he know anything about that?
طالبان یا طالبان نه راغلي طالبان راشي د ګرد کلی خلک چې د طالبانو سره همکار دي چې راغلي نه بس یا عسکرو ته ورسولي یا دغه په تاسو ته ورته وشي.
Ask him if it's possible when we go around we take pictures of the local nationals on our camera. Is he happy for me to take his picture? No.
But it's not a straightforward photograph. This biometric camera maps the human face. It's a form of electronic fingerprinting which captures the individual and unique patterns of the human eye. Sergeant Mason and his men won't arrest this man until they have concrete evidence.
Seems like a very nice, affable chap, but you know, for all that, he still could be supporting an insurgent, or maybe he's just a simple farmer. You know, presently, I don't think I could judge. I don't think anyone else can judge right now. I think the guys will have to go back, look at the information that they've gathered today, and pass it on to intelligence. But it backs up again what I was trying to say earlier, that the game has changed in terms of, you know, it's not as simple as just saying the enemy are over there, let's go out there and contact them, get into a fight and hopefully defeat them. It's far more intelligence-based, it's far more a policing role and even a detective's role, rather than, you know, dropping 200-pound bombs on them, which does no help in terms of the relationship between ISAF and the honest, law-abiding, decent citizens of Helmand Province.
This game of cat and mouse requires time and carries a high risk. But it won't be long until Whiskey's tactical patience pays off. I've been back in Afghanistan for little over a week. Nothing quite prepares you for life on the front line. The constant fear of IEDs and the extreme heat takes some getting used to. But slowly, I'm acclimatizing to life with 4-5 Commando.
We've been very well looked after by a whiskey company, and they particularly gave us the ISO that cools the water. It also has a fan that directs hot air into our grot. And this is where we all are. Over here, Jonathan, our cameraman, works on this with the director, Southern. Obviously, it's very windy here, so a lot of dust comes through here. We obviously use cameras like this, which we can attach to people. We also have 2 of these cameras, and the very big one that's filming on me right now. The one thing that cameras really never actually show is just how hot it is. Temperature in here at 1 p.m. yesterday was around about 110, 111 Fahrenheit, which is around about 43, 44 Celsius. It's quite hot, and that's in the shade. Here's a new piece of kit. I think it's invaluable out on the ground. It's actually called a ballistic nappy. I'm sure these will be being worn in certain clubs by the end of the year and nothing else on. But basically, do it around the right way. It fits on your belt buckle here, tucks up through, you strap it round, and obviously it protects the family jewels. And a lot of guys who have actually been hit by IEDs have actually managed to save their most vital piece of equipment by wearing these.
Whiskey Company is made up of 140 men and 1,000 tattoos. Amongst all these fighting men is one very brave woman. A sergeant in the Royal Logistics Corps, 34-year-old Bonnie Dacre is a member of the operational search team.
I'll go out with a search team and we segregate the females from the males because obviously the males don't like you basically seeing their females or any of our soldiers engaging with them apart from females.
Absolutely. I mean, culturally, it's a definite no-no,
It's
isn't
a definite no-no, yeah, completely.
How do you find the women when you're out on the ground, the local women? How do they react to you? Because, you know, to all intents and purposes, you're dressed very much like, well, you are dressed exactly, you carry a weapon, you're dressed exactly like the Marines, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly like. I don't think they realise at first that you're a female until you say, you know, Salam alaikum, and it's, whoa, what's that? You know,
They get the vocal cords,
yeah, and then they pick up, and very often if you're walking along and there is females about, they'll always cover their face. But you can always see them have a little peep to say, was that a female I've just seen there, or heard?
And how do they react to being searched?
They giggle. It's totally alien to them. They just look at you and say, what are you doing to me? But they're quite good. I think they've seen it a few times with the males.
Do your family know exactly what you're doing out here?
Yeah. Came a bit of a shock to them, but yeah, they do. My grandma thought I was going to be in an office for the whole tour.
Yeah.
She was a bit shocked at that. She was a bit like, OK, I thought you was going to be in an office. I was like, no, sorry.
Well, they're proud of you, yeah?
Oh, yeah, I should hope so.
Every week, the Major holds a shura where he meets with local Afghans. However, news has just come in that an informer wants to speak to him. It's thought that he has high-level intelligence on the Taliban. So it's decided to keep the meeting in place in the hope that the informer makes contact. 20 minutes up the road from Katina is a town that has a reputation for Taliban activity. As we arrive in Zargan Calais, Major Maynard makes an impromptu decision to patrol the market, to show the locals that the Marines are here and ready to protect them.
About 8 months ago, this whole area was a battlefield. Fought pretty harshly between 16 Brigade, 1 Royal Irish and the Taliban.
So it was actually where we are right now. It's just looking
there were contacts every day. In fact, just down here on the left, you see the school that was blown up. In fact, this school has been bombed twice. And the Taliban killed it because it was symbolic of the government's progress here, because of the school. There was girls coming to it that were showing progress, and in their inimitable way, they decided to blow it up.
So every time it's been rebuilt, they've come back and blown it up?
Yeah.
No children were killed in either blast, but the Taliban didn't stop there. They intimidated the teachers with threats that acid would be thrown in their faces. They then went one step further.
And why do you think they killed the teacher? So how do you feel about the people that destroyed the school? Well, I hope your school is rebuilt very soon.
I
think you should become the new economic minister for the government of Afghanistan? Like, if you were there, would you keep the money or would you build schools?
This is a 12-year-old. He's probably got a pretty good grasp of the economics of this country presently. Now, that's a kind of sweeping statement for me to make, and I can't back it up. But, you know, this is what young people on the ground think about the schools being built here. The problem is, for the sacrifices that have been made here are to mean something, then the Afghans have got to build these schools for the future of their country, and they've got to stop putting the money in their back pockets, because that's a general consensus of the people here right now.
The Shura is being held at the heavily guarded police station. These gatherings are important for the locals and the district councillors to discuss problems and issues that affect them. For the Major, it's an opportunity to make progress and gather intelligence. But the threat of the Taliban is never far away. It's not uncommon for insurgents to infiltrate these meetings to try and find out who's collaborating with ISAF, so there's always a fair amount of apprehension.
I will relentlessly pursue the insurgent for as long as I am here, but I am better able to do that with your help and your support. If those that want to see progress, if those that want to see stability and security all come together, then the insurgency has no room to move.
This is the first time I've come to this area, and so I'd like to ask them a question. What do they think will happen when the ISAF forces go?
The insurgents will attack again. Yeah.
The insurgents will attack again, eh?
Attack again, and they will take over.
Just as we leave the Shura, the Major is told that the informant has arrived.
We're going to have a one-on-one.
This person is risking his life and his family's. The Taliban would not hesitate to torture and kill anyone helping ISAF. The informer seems to have credible information on a high-level Taliban commander spying on the base at Khatuna.
How many insurgents?
Two body was like.
He was outside Khatuna?
Yes, he was just checking
ISAF locations.
ISAF locations.
Then there was more troubling news.
So he's training men specifically in this area?
Yes, some like young boys.
Do you think they're going to target Zav and Clay?
Yes, they are coming to Zav and Clay area.
The informant has provided valuable intelligence. Not only is the base at Khatuna being watched, but suicide bombers are being trained in the area. The information gathered is of such significance that Whiskey Company are about to mount a daring operation. Whiskey Company are planning a covert raid based on information from an informant. Their target is a man who trains suicide bombers.
My intent is to conduct a covert insertion into the area of interest early hours tomorrow morning. We will quickly establish a layered cordon around these four compounds here, compound 10, 14, 8 and 13, with 10 being the primary compound of interest. Just remember that Bravo 1 is a suspect suicide IED facilitator, and therefore we will be looking for components associated with that type of threat.
Key personnel run through the logistics of the operation so that they can brief their individual teams later. As of now, the whole of Whiskey Company is on standby.
picked a route that avoids as far as possible any compound and colays for the sole purpose of avoiding the dogs giving away our position as much as possible.
We'll be fighting from the door, nice and slow and laborious. It's not going to be a quick task, but make no mistake, if it goes compound red, we're going to be on the back foot initially until that Bravo call sign, punch in there and fight through.
This is a bloke that trained 15 and 16-year-old boys last summer to blow themselves up and kill innocent people. Let's make sure he doesn't get the chance to do it again this year.
The operation will be carried out tonight under the cover of darkness.
Sky, get in that wagon now, mate. You and Scouts, mount up.
Right, we've just been given an early go-ahead for Operation Torabasha 43. We're going to be moving vehicles now down to a certain point, as quietly as possible, into a lay-up position. They know that this guy has been training young men to become suicide bombers. He was doing it all last year. They suspect they've found the location that he's living in. Once they find him, and they either find incriminating evidence or they find explosives on his person, they're going to lift him and take him to Bastion. Before that happens, we've got a very long night ahead of us.
Any suspect arrested will be interrogated by British forces before being handed over to the Afghan authorities. Operation Torabasha, which means Courageous Hawk, is underway.
So many vehicles moving at night because we're moving near the whole of Whiskey Company. That's going to cause people to start talking. Either I come shout out or telephone calls will be made, because it's rare that this many vehicles will be moving at night.
With such a large troop movement, the Major has devised a plan so as not to alert the suspect, codename Bravo. Whiskey Company will rendezvous at a police checkpoint, well away from the target. Here, they will then wait until the early hours of the morning before setting off to surround the suspect's compound. Then, on the call sign Bunker Hill, they will go in. It's 03:30, and everyone has made it to the rendezvous point without a hitch.
The things that we're fighting against are, there are farmers out in the fields this time of night. There are members of the Afghan National Police that might be less than sympathetic to our objective. And also, nearly every compound in Afghanistan has a dog. And they'll smell us and they'll hear us coming and start barking, and that could alert the Bravo to our approach.
Whiskey Company now separate into 3 units, each one taking different routes to the suspect's compound. It's over a mile through rough terrain. The possibility of an IED strike at night is omnipresent. The Marines have night vision, and so does the camera. However, I'm not so fortunate. Once again, the man on point sweeps a path, laying down glowing markers as he goes.
Basically, the side limbs the guys are dropping, so the guys behind us can see the right way. It's been cleared by the guy up front.
I'm trying to walk in the footsteps of the man in front of me, as I'm terrified of straying outside the safety zone. The dogs in the surrounding compounds sense our presence.
The compounder sensed us. He started barking, and that's kicked off the other dogs down the road. That's one of the biggest problems out here, the guys. All of them have guard dogs.
There's a real risk of alerting the Taliban and our suspect.
Requesting that we stay here up until the moment that you want us to move into the cordon. Over.
After an anxious 25 minutes, and wondering if our cover has been blown, we stand by for the call sign to go in.
We've confirmed now we've been joined by other members of Whiskey Company. The compound is just over there. However, the dog is still barking in that compound. It's sensing the Whiskey Company is slowly surrounding that compound and hopefully causing a net so the suspect can't escape.
Charlie 1, Charlie 1, 0 Alpha at Bunker Hill, 1113, mileage over.
Okay, Bunker Hill is the call sign to move in. Here we go.
It's been 2.5 years.
Leslie, I wanted to get your thoughts on something. Joe Rogan, right? He has a huge podcast, millions of followers and listeners. And as I argue, he has a subscription to Curiosity. He's not party affiliated, but he had this warning for the left where he talked about that these celebrations, these vile celebrations over Charlie Kirk's assassination might push America to the brink. Let's watch.
Charlie Kirk gets shot and people are celebrating. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. You want people to die that you disagree with? Like, where are we right now on the scale of 1 to Civil War? Where are we? Are we at 7? Because I thought we were at 5. I thought we were like 4 or 5. But after the Charlie Kirk thing, I'm like, oh, we might be like 7. It's kind of like step 7 on the way to a bona fide Civil War.
Leslie, is he right?
No. And as a broadcaster, I think it's irresponsible to even put that out there. You know, we're a great nation, and one of the things that makes us great is that we can live together with all of our different ethnicities and cultures and religions and political ideologies. There aren't just two. It isn't just left and right, as we can see from primaries, right? There's left of left and there's right of right. I want to say something about this. I live in California. Harris, we have kids similar age. I just did the college tours with my kids. Went to UC Berkeley. It's one of the UC schools. Walk freely on campus. There's no security stopping me. You know, I'm going on campus. And the reason I say that, first I want to say that violence, and I will repeat it, violence is wrong. Violence for any reason is wrong. Two, people in this country have a First Amendment constitutional right to free speech, but not to incite violence. I don't think I agreed with anything Charlie said, but he had the right to say it. You should never, ever, ever say anything demeaning about somebody who has been assassinated, cut down in the prime of life. And in addition to that, you just don't speak ill of the dead. That's how I was raised. You don't speak ill of the dead. You know, Turning Point has a right to have, you know, their, you know, membership and to have their meetings. But I also want to point out that University of Berkeley has 46,000 students. And on my radio show, we had a man on the ground, you know, the man on the street, go and talk to people. And it's amazing how many students didn't even know this was going on. They didn't even know. The campus is 98 acres. It's really huge. This is happening on one end of the campus. Also, if you look at all the footage, there are some older people that were there. I find it hard to believe they were students. So I just want to say I don't want the kids at UC Berkeley to all be demonized. I don't believe that everybody there was students. Again, violence is never right. It's never the answer, you know, regardless of the political ideology. And every campus should welcome other opinions. Like Liberty, let some atheists talk. UC Berkeley, let conservatives talk. I believe in that free speech, and I believe that's how we become more united and don't have a civil war.
It sounds similar to Columbia. In Columbia, they said that how do these people weren't their students, but they were organized with the unsavory attitude. But from outside,
And that's what I wanted to focus on with you, Kaylee. So I grew up right by the campus. I went to Cal for a semester, and regardless if it's a tiny faction, the reality is that it happened, and that we saw a violent attack, and then we saw, as Harmeet Dillon discussed, the essentially constructive suppression of free speech, which is unconstitutional and also criminal when you bring in bloody attacks at will. And we're not seeing that on every campus. So the reality is that there is whatever faction has defined it is alive and well, and it is frightening.
Yeah, and we cover stories like this endlessly. There's the violence we saw at UC Berkeley. There's the social studies teacher you played that said, "Bye, Charlie, what a piece of garbage. Look what happens." I mean, what an appalling thing to say. And this person is teaching students. That's not just one isolated example. We've seen examples like this across the country. And those folks belong nowhere near educating our children. And at UC Berkeley, if we could just pull back up those images, my favorite was the media. There were some in the media trying to tell us this was mostly peaceful. It wasn't mostly peaceful. There were fireworks, there was tear gas. You covered, is that peaceful? There was a bloody chase. No, that's not mostly peaceful. That was a real CNN moment for the media when they said mostly peaceful protests as fire raged behind the reporter. That was in a different context in the summer of 2020. This is not mostly peaceful. This was very, very wrong. And what speech were they stifling? Not that it matters, because free speech doesn't characterize what you say. Everyone deserves free speech protections as long as you're not inciting violence. But the speech that they were objecting to was that of Frank Turek, who was one of the two speakers. Frank Turek, a pastor, he was one of the last people with Charlie on that day, stood on the stage and said, the Bible talks about the fact that testing produces patience, patience produces character, tribulation leads to hope, and it says all things work together for the good of those that love God. So that's the hateful speech to which they were protesting. I had Frank Turek joining me Saturday to talk about that moment as people tried to stop him from speaking and stop the people outside there. And I just want to end with Bill Maher. I never thought that I'd be someone who quotes Bill Maher frequently, but I want to because he's been very good on these issues. And he said this. He said that Charlie Kirk was shot under a banner that said, "Prove me wrong," because he was a debater. Too many people think that the way to prove you wrong is just to eliminate you. He said that is gross. And he says, I have no use for you if you say those things. Good for Bill Maher once again for standing up for free speech. Good for you, Leslie. And I hope we hear that broadly.
Yeah. And I don't want this to go unsaid, Leslie, which is that when you said you don't think you maybe agree with anything he said, maybe you and I can sit down and listen to things he said and we'll find some common ground, because there was a lot of love in what Charlie said.
I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Die! Charge!
magazine's empty. Reloading. cover! Reloading!
Leute, ich lade nach!
He wasn't so hard to kill.
Ich brauch Deckung!
Easier for us both if you just died already.